Hi everyone. In the last couple of weeks, I posted one video which was about art careers, which I was kind of actually surprised because, like, I'd say maybe about 95% of the time that I was talking about that video, I was probably bitching and moaning about the art industry, and yet a lot of the comments that people are posting were that they're actually rather inspired by it. So I think it's kind of funny. It's but anyway, I've actually been thinking a lot about art education, and a lot of people, they want to go to college for art. They want to get really serious about it, and this video is a little bit about that. As some of you know, I do teach online courses at a college. I have taught live college courses, and sometimes I'm not exactly sure if college is the best choice for everyone. Just as, an art career is not really the best choice for everyone. And also given the fact that I myself have never been to college for drawing. Not for drawing. I went to college for visual effects. And it was only 5 years after I'd been in the visual effects industry where I said, fuck it, I'm going to learn how to draw. And then went cold turkey and basically taught myself that, I was able to, learn how to draw. So one of the things about college, the reason why I'm talking about this is because college is not always the answer. It is for some. I think what college is when you go to college, it's not, I don't know how to explain this. We tend to have this idea where we can just go to college, get a diploma, and get a job, right? Like that's the mantra that is basically being that is going around. Everyone always has this idea in their head where it's just, go to college, get an education, get a degree, and get a job. But it's not always. It's rarely like that. It's rarely like that. I'd say that having been a college instructor, I'm teaching both online and teaching live, and I must have taught hundreds of students. And I'd say out of every class of maybe 16 people, there's maybe one person, sometimes two, one or two people that I think that have a chance. And I don't mean guaranteed. I mean, they got a chance. And I know how it is in movies, like whenever they show you movies and books and television, they say, it's like, oh, the odds are like 1,000,000 to 1, and like, the slimmer the odds of it, it'll never work. Like the slimmer the odds are, the more likely it's going to happen. And unfortunately, this is not movies. I mean, even though we'd like to work in movies, it's not television, even though we'd like to work in television. It's not video games, even though we'd like to work in video games. It's reality. And when I say that, the other 15, 14 people out of 16 are very likely are not going to make it. I mean that. And I don't think that those 14 or 15 people really realize. And so that's what this video is for. This video is for the people who don't yet realize, why so few make it. So, okay, let's just talk about the easy things that I can talk about college. First of all, colleges are businesses. Okay, they need to make money. They got a lot of staff. They got they got a whole school. They got a whole building they got to take care of. They got equipment rentals. There's the material costs of running a college. And as we know in this day and age, as it is in all day and ages, the cost of living is always going to go up. The cost of maintaining any business is going to go up. It costs a lot of money to run a college. And then, as a result, that money comes from you, the student. It comes from, tuition fees. And these tuition fees they are not small potatoes. They are, I can't even afford to go to college. I will not go to college. I don't, it's like, back in the day, I used to pay maybe it used to be like 10K for like a 9-month education in visual effects. I'm sure that price has, has like doubled, in the past 5 or so years, well, more like 7 years. Oh my God, it's been like 10 years. Wow, it's been, so in at least a decade, I'd say it doubled. It costs a lot of money. People are taking out loans. They are going into debt. I was lucky in that I had, my family had saved up, money. They had planned ahead. um, we were able to take care of that financial situation, and so thankfully it's really thanks to my family, um, that they were able to put me through college. And when I was in college, I understood how much money was how much money was on the table there. I don't know if everyone does. I do have family members, not immediate family, but I do have people in my family who don't quite realize just how much it costs. They have been spending years and years in college, and they take a course, they pass the course, they get good grades, and then they take another course. And basically for them, college is like a career. It's they don't go out and get a job. Instead, they're paying, they're spending their inheritance. They're spending their parents' money, and there are, this is something that happens a lot. Is that some people, they go to college and it's just they like the college life. And the problem is that college, the life inside college, the society within college, the way things work inside college differs very greatly from what it's like in the real world. Teaching, I'd say, is also the other reason why I'm kind of, not saying that people should go to college, is because it's really hard. It's really hard to teach people the basics. Getting people to the point where they can stand on their own 2 feet and draw a solid box is really hard. And I say it's hard not because it's hard for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's hard to explain this stuff. Art is very poorly documented. There are very few books that I know of that can really push this stuff across. And then there's the other side of it where it's just, a lot of the stuff that I teach just is not taken to heart. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's hard to master this stuff. And if I talk about, say, mastery, when you master something, mastering something means that you do it whether you want to or not. When you master something, it's not, I can draw the boxes and I can draw them without them getting fucked up. It's more like, I can't not draw a box that isn't fucked up. I can't not, I can't not draw in perspective. I can't, it's like it's like, I'll tell you this, it's like when you start out with drawing, you have a mastery. You have a mastery of a way of drawing, but it's likely that way of drawing is not one that's suitable for for making the kind of art that you really want to make. Because we don't know what we really want to make until we see it. And a lot of people feel that as soon as they become comfortable with one way of drawing, even if it's the wrong way or the way that takes them off the road, takes them off the path, it's comfortable. So you can master a bad way of drawing. You can master, and I say bad in the sense that it takes you off the path that you want, the path that you really want to follow. It's it takes you down the false path. And it's when you really, like, for me, I was able to find the right path because I was desperate. I realized just how far from the path I had strayed, for 3 years. When I was just drawing the way that was most comfortable and always finding the way that was most comfortable, I realized it wasn't what I wanted. And so it took a long time where I had to change. I had to change as a person. I had to learn to seek out the things that I thought were much better and to pursue them and to learn to do them in spite of how much I disliked it. But I did them because they took me down the right path. They took me where I wanted to go. And it's a struggle. And many people aren't ready for that struggle. I don't know when they'll be ready for that struggle. They say they are ready for that struggle, but the proof is in the pudding when you put them in front of some box exercises and they just want to do it until they are competent, but until they're able to do it, but they don't do it until they've mastered it. They don't do it until they do it naturally without even thinking, and to not do it that way feels wrong. That is what mastery is, and maybe, only 14 to 15 people, I'm sorry, 1 to 2 out of those 16 people will actually go that way, because we are a creature of comfort. We want our comfort. You know, there are alternatives. I don't know. I got another 50 seconds here. Let me do a part 2 of this.